Welcome to another episode of The Parenting Brief. I'm your host, Jessica Stewart-Gonzalez, an Arizona working mom and chief of the Office of Children's Health at the Arizona Department of Health Services. This show brings families tips and advice to help parents stay ahead of the game, even when your little one may be throwing you a curveball. From safe sleep for newborns to managing a toddler that's a picky eater, everything you need to know is right here. Thank you for joining me on this episode of The Parenting Brief. There are so many things that impact the health and development of a child that we have talked about on this show in previous episodes. Many of these topics address when to talk to your child's healthcare provider about concerns. But without health insurance, those appointments can be expensive, especially if they are unplanned or require a referral to a specialist. Our guest today talks about how to enroll kids in the Children's Health Insurance Program and gives us details about this low-cost program that provides health coverage to children with families who are unable to buy a private plan. All of that is up next. Our guest today is Mark Schafer, and he's the Program Support Administrator at the Arizona Healthcare Cost Containment System, or ACCESS. Thank you for coming on the show today, Mark.
You're welcome. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
So how does access to health insurance impact the health and development of young children?
Well, I can speak from experience with healthcare and kids. You know, if kids aren't healthy and they're not getting their checkups and getting things taken care of, that impacts into other areas of the life and impacts into the parents also.
And what is the Children's Health Insurance Program and who can use it?
There's several groups within this. So you have like the kids care, then there's the child, which is another one of the programs. So it really starts, there's the newborns, then there's the Access Child program, and the child, there's in several different groups. And sorry if I'm going to get too technical, but like the child is for ages, you have to be under 19. So we actually have several programs within Access. And of course, all one has to do is just, apply for the program.
And what type of services or healthcare services are covered through the Access programs?
Do you want me to go through them all? Because there's doctor visits, immunizations, prescriptions, lab and x-rays, early and periodic screening, diagnosis and treatment services, specialist care, hospital services. There's transportation to doctor, emergency care, podiatry services, chiropractic services. There's pregnancy care, but that would be for general. So this is just all in general. There's surgery, physical exams, behavioral health. There's family planning services, dialysis, glasses, including replacements for children under age 21, vision exams for children under age 21, and dental screening, again, children under 21, treatment under 21. And then for the older, like the moms or the dads, there's emergency dental for 21 and older only. And then there's hearing exams for, again, the children under 21.
If somebody goes to apply, do they need to specifically select the correct program to apply for? Or do they just apply for access and then depending on their eligibility would identify which program that they may qualify for?
We screen for all the programs. So once somebody applies, they'll process it. And they're based on income levels and so forth. So if you say you applied for kids care, we'll screen for child, we'll screen for all the others that could be potentially eligible.
And is that the same for if they just apply for access for their family in general?
That is correct, yes.
So with that, when somebody does apply, it's great to know that they don't need to know specifically which program they're applying for, or what would be worse is having to individually apply for various programs, because I know that would be probably incredibly time intensive. And does the whole family have to qualify for the program? Or let's say if an adult doesn't qualify, can a child qualify? What does that really look like for those family dynamics?
That is exactly right. You could have the families, they're very dynamic these days. So you could have like mixed households as far as like dad with his kids, and so forth. So once you apply for the entire family, we screen each and every person individually for whatever program they may be potentially eligible for. And yes, sometimes you'll have someone who's not eligible and the kids are. Sometimes the whole family is. Again, it's based specifically on the individuals and, the income level and the way that the household groups are looked at. When somebody applies for access, you only need one person they usually are considered the primary informant, and they then add, the spouse and the children and so forth, and everybody would be on the same application.
So in preparation for somebody to do the application online, what information or documents should they already have or have reviewed prior to going on and doing the application in order to ensure that kind of expedited process of not needing to have additional information that might be necessary?
Probably the most important would be any income or wage information handy in the event you might have to, to send it in. So it wouldn't hurt to gather that. Generally, once we key in like the child's name and the social security number, the system reaches out and matches it and it shows it's good. So rarely, if ever, do we need like a copy of a birth certificate, stuff like that. So really, it's just making sure they're careful how they enter the stuff. So I enter my name correctly, how I'm known legally type thing. And that's pretty much it, because it's kind of guides you through it on the application. So it's going to ask for the household members, their date of birth, their ages, all that stuff. Then it goes into the wage, or any income. So it's pretty much what most people get requested information for would be verification of income.
And is there any other information about any of the access programs that children qualify for that you would want our listeners to know about that we haven't covered already?
Well, I think what I would like for them to take from it is it's really, really easy to apply. Your situation today may make you that you're not eligible. We know, especially with everything everybody's gone through, how situations can change very fast. When there's a situation change, if income is lowered, I would highly recommend reapply again, because you could be eligible at that time. So if you're not eligible now, you could be later, depending on the circumstances.
If you'd like to learn more about accessing health insurance through an access plan, visit the show notes for links to helpful resources. Remember to follow the show on this podcast player. That way you'll never miss another episode. And if you found the information in today's episode useful, please share it with the other parents or caregivers in your life. Until next time, this is Jessica. You've got this.